Yeah. So it's the 26th verse, but then I have to also say the 27th, yeah?
No, it's the 27th. We read 26 last time.
Yeah, okay, I have to also speak the verse of 28. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I'm going to speak from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 24.327, and also I will read the verse of 328. So the translation is, so the verse 27 is, if you would please manifest yourself within my heart and personally direct me in writing this book, then although I am low-born and I may hope to be able to write it, you can do this because you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yourself, and whatever you direct is perfect. Prabhu kahe ye karite kariba tumi mana.
Prabhu kahe ye karite kariba tumi mana.
Krishna say tuma karbe spurana.
Krishna she tuma karabe spurana.
Prabhu kahe ye karite kariba tumi mana.
Prabhu kahe ye karite kariba tumi mana.
Krishna say tuma karbe spurna.
Krishna she tuma karabe spurana. Prabhu kahe ye karite kariba tumi mana.
Prabhu kahe ye karite kariba tumi mana.
Krishna she tuma karabe spurana.
Krishna say tuma karbe spurana. Mataji's.
Prabhu kahe ye karite kariba tumi mana.
Krishna say tuma karabe spurana.
Sheshe Toma Karate Surana.
Yes. Prabhu kahe,
Prabhu Kahe,
Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said,
Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said,
Ye,
Yea,
whatever, karite,
Karite,
to do,
to do,
kariba tumimana,
Kariba Tumimana,
you want.
you want,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Lord Krishna,
Lord Krishna,
say,
Sheshe,
that
that,
Toma,
Toma,
to you,
to you,
Karabes Purana,
Karabes Purana,
will manifest.
will manifest.
Translation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, whatever you want to do, you will be able to do correctly by Lord Krishna's favor. He will manifest the real purport. The purport? Sanatan Goswami was a pure devotee of Krishna. A pure devotee has no business other than serving Krishna. Consequently, Krishna is always ready to help him. This benediction was given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatan Goswami, who was authorized to write Vaishnav Smriti. Sanatan Goswami was a pure devotee of the Lord, and through the blessings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was able to write the book perfectly. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutane Shrimate Pradhananda Swamniti Namne Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutane Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamniti Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharine. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you for coming. And so I'm going to speak about these two verses actually, and these are very beautiful verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it's very particularly relevant for all of us, especially when we are actually preparing for Prabhupada's marathon, which literally starts tomorrow, and for also other devotional service. So here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, firstly, Sanatan Goswami is actually asking Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to instruct him how to write this book, Hari Bhakti Vilas, which, if you know about this book, it actually outlines the proper behavior and duties of a Vaishnavas. And these instructions are documented in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Sanatan Goswami expresses his humility and request and guidance on writing this very important work. You understand English, Mataji? Okay. You speak Russian, yeah? Well, I don't speak Russian. Yeah, so this book, if you have read, is actually a very beautiful book. And also from these instructions of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatan Goswami, we can understand the science of Krishna as it relates to Krishna's transcendental form, his opulences, and his devotion service. And indeed, everything is actually explained in this book. And one of the things that my understanding also from this verse is that the attitude of the disciple when he's actually approaching the spiritual master, that what is the attitude? Second is also the importance of accepting the bona fide spiritual master from whom we are actually accepting the instructions. So Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, no, Tadvidi pranipattena pariprashnena seveya updekshanti te gnanam gnaninas tattvadarshina. Who knows the translation? Except you. Okay. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So here, also in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, it is also mentioned about this whole pastime when Sanatan Goswami was approaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and what kind of mood he had. What is the mood of a disciple when he approaches the spiritual master for any spiritual inquiry? So it says in teachings of Lord Chaitanya, at that time Sanatan fell at the feet of the Lord and with great humility asked about his own real identity. I'm born of a lower family, Sanatan said. My associations are all abominable, and I'm fallen, the most wretched of mankind. I was suffering in the dark well of material enjoyment, and I never knew the actual goal of my life. Indeed, I do not even know what is beneficial for me. Although I am what is known in the world as a great learned man, I am in fact so much of a fool that I myself even think that I am learned. You have accepted me as your servant, and you have delivered me from the entanglement of material life. Now, please tell me what is my duty is in this liberated state. So, this we see, his mood when he's actually approaching his spiritual master. His mood is so submissive and so humble. And even though he was quite a learned person, he could speak different languages, but also, and he was quite learned in Sanskrit, and he was coming from a Brahmana family, but still, after even having all these, qualifications, let's say, he was still very humble in front of his spiritual master and not puffed up. And also then, it's not like, it's one thing that also I think about sometimes is like the mood, of course, when we are approaching our spiritual master. And the real spiritual life actually starts when we accept a bona fide spiritual master. And also, we should inquire from our spiritual master, like what is my duty? Like, what am I supposed to do, And what is that it pleases my guru? And what does he like? Like, what does he like? What does he doesn't like? These things we should inquire from our spiritual master. And obviously, spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master, is actually an expert, and he can see, according to the nature of the disciple, he engages him in a particular service. So I just want to give one example. We were like in Mayapur this year. I usually serve my Gurudev with cooking services, and I had one god sister, and she just recently got initiated from our spiritual master, Pradhananda Swami, and so she wanted to also help in the cooking service, and she wanted to kind of make like this mango lassi, And it was lunchtime, and I just told her like, our spiritual master does not mix like fruits and lunch like together, because according to Ayurveda, it's not the best thing to do. But she really like insisted, like, no, I want to make mango lassi for him. And I was like, okay, you can do it, And I was like, not sure if he's going to accept it, but she had this kind of, devotion, and she really wanted to do. But yeah, but I somewhere knew that he's not going to accept it. So yeah, we offered Gurudev that mango lassi, and he ate all the lunch, but he didn't take the mango lassi, And then she was so disappointed, and then I, the other devotees also, and told her like, yes, it's a nice emotion or nice, feeling. You want to do this for your spiritual master, but at the same time, we have to please him, how he wants to be pleased, not how I think he should be pleased. So that was like a good lesson for all of us. And then, also in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, then Lord continues that the Lord was pleased by Sanatan's submissive behavior, and he replied, "You have already received the benediction from Lord Krishna, and therefore you know everything and are free from all the miseries of material existence." The Lord further pointed out that because Sanatan was in Krishna consciousness, he was naturally, by the grace of Krishna, already conversant with everything. Because you are a humble devotee, the Lord continued, you are asking me to confirm what you already know. That is very nice. And these are the characteristics of a true devotee. In Narad Bhakti Sutra, it is said that one who is very serious about developing Krishna consciousness and has his desire to understand Krishna, it is fulfilled very soon by the grace of the Lord. So you are a suitable person to protect the devotion service of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued. Therefore, it is my duty to instruct you in the science of God, and I will explain everything to you step by step. So now I will just go through the topics that Lord Chaitanya emphasized Sanatana Goswami to cover in this book, just so that we have a little bit of idea. From here. So he said that because you asked me for a synopsis, please hear these few indications. In the beginning, describe how one must take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. You your book should describe the characteristics of the bona fide guru and the bona fide disciple. Then, before accepting a spiritual master, one can be assured of the spiritual master's position. Similarly, the spiritual master can also be assured of the disciple's position. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, should be described as the worshipable object, and you should describe the Bij mantra for the worship of Krishna as well as that for Ram and other expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So also, if we see here, Lord Chaitanya is also emphasizing on the importance of accepting bona fide spiritual master, and also what are the characteristics of actually accepting a bona fide spiritual master. But not just the spiritual master, but also a disciple who is actually qualified to be accepted. What are his qualities? And I mean, also in our movement, when somebody takes like a pranam mantra, that devotee, I guess, I don't know how much time it is now, like 6 months or 1 year, but at least in my time, which was almost 10 years ago, it was like around 6 months. And the spiritual master also checks. So it's like a time, when you associate with spiritual master, to see if you can follow his instructions. And he also checks whether he can instruct this disciple, it's submissive enough to receive the orders and not acting whimsically. So it actually goes both the ways. And Prabhupada actually makes a comment on this. He says, in Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, he says, approaching a spiritual master is not just a fashion, but it is a necessity for one who is seriously conscious of the material miseries and who wants to be free of them. It is the duty of such a person to approach a spiritual master in this regard. We should note similar circumstances in Bhagavad Gita when Arjuna was perplexed by so many problems involving whether to fight or not. He accepted Lord Krishna as his spiritual master, and it was also a case of the Supreme Spiritual Master instructing Arjuna about the constitutional position of the living entity. Krishna says, no, in Bhagavad Gita, what's his last, after telling Arjuna everything in Bhagavad Gita, what's his last instruction to Arjuna? Yeah, except you. Oh no. Okay, yes. Sarva dharman paritajya mam ekam sharanam vraj aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshashami ma sucha. Just give up all varieties of religion and abandon and surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Yeah. So here, also in Bhagavad Gita, we can see that Krishna also acted as a spiritual master, and Arjuna was also submissive and humble enough to receive those instructions from the Lord. So the whole point of this is that we have to surrender to Krishna. So either we surrender unto him through this process, or we have to surrender to him at the time of death, because nobody can deny this surrender. So if we don't surrender Krishna in a loving way, then Krishna comes as a death, so we have to surrender, no? I mean, people, so many like billionaires and millionaires, like this, they have so much of material opulence. But when they leave this world, they have to leave empty-handed. They have to surrender to that. They cannot surrender to death. They cannot deny this fact. So this is one aspect of this. And there's also another point that I noticed in this, that who is actually a person who is qualified to write these books. So not just like anybody can write devotional books whimsically, it should be a devotee and somebody who is actually realized. And so here we see, Sanatana Goswami, he was such a, pure, he had so much pure devotion to the Lord. So he was sanctioned actually by the Lord himself to write these books. So So Lord himself actually is instructing him how to write the book. I mean, for example, if you go on Sankirtan, and so many people, like, they say, like, yeah, I have Bhagavad Gita, and you ask them, I usually ask them, it's like, yeah, that's nice, like, which kind of Bhagavad Gita do you have? And they have all different kinds of answers. Like, even I don't know, like, so many different versions from India they have. And they are interested in, some kind of spiritual life or yoga. and I always give them this example. Like I kind of like insist them a little bit to take Bhagavad Gita as it is, but I also give them this example. Like if they really want to read Bhagavad Gita, so if it's like it's funny, but it's like if there's an Italian restaurant and there's like American restaurant. That's the example I give on Sankirtan. And if they really want to eat Italian food, so I asked them, I was like, which restaurant would you go? It's like, yeah, of course I would go on like Italian restaurant. So I said, so if you really, because you really want to taste the Italian food, no? So if you really want to know what is there in Bhagavad Gita, we have to read Bhagavad Gita, which is actually as it is, not which is actually done by devotee, not just with any materialistic person who's just some Sanskrit scholar or something, you know. So that's also not the qualification. Any materialistic person can just write any spiritual books, you know, because purity is the force. It doesn't have any effect then, because they are not self-realized themselves. So, but we can see, because Srila Prabhupada, you know, he was so pure, and that's why his books, everything that he wrote, translated, it has effect. That's why we have so many devotees and Krishna consciousness is growing, you know, because it's all pure what he wrote. So, yeah, there is also another example that I wanted to share, that the person who is qualified to write these books, and also how Srila Prabhupada, when he was staying in Radha Damodar temple, and if you see who had been to Radha Damodar temple? No? Okay. If you ever get the opportunity, please go. It's a very beautiful temple, and Srila Prabhupada also has his room there. And there's like samadhis, you know, you can do like a parikrama around, and we have samadhis of like Goswamis and like this. And the person, I don't remember his name, but the person who actually noticed it, he says that Prabhupada was crying for the mercy to spread Krishna consciousness. By the mercy of Rupa Goswami, Prabhupada used to pray to Rupa Goswami, you please give me your mercy. And then he got the mercy. And he says, I know this because I saw some things he did at the Radha Damodar temple. My room is still located in the same place as it was then in 1964 or 65. Many times in the middle of the night, at midnight or 1 or 2 in the morning, I would hear a voice crying from inside the courtyard by Rupa Goswami Samadhi Mandir. That voice was calling out and crying, but I didn't know that it was because I was trying to take rest. But one night on the full moon, I heard that voice again. So I climbed up to the roof of our house and looked down into the Radha Damodar's courtyard. I saw something very amazing. Srila Prabhupada was sweeping the courtyard of Rupa Goswami Samadhi. He was bending down with a small broom, and he swept the ground by the Samadhi, and he was crying out, Hey Rupa, Hey Sanatan, Hey Gurudev, please give me your mercy. Without your mercy, I cannot do anything. Give me the mercy, give me the strength, that I may fulfill your orders. Then I realized that it was he who almost every night was calling out as he was sweeping like this. So we can see, you know, by Prabhupada's example, that he was such a completely self-realized soul, you know, and he could have like stayed in Vrindavan, you know, he could have just been doing rest of his life, you know, just stayed there in Vrindavan and have done his bhajan and his continued his Krishna consciousness there. But he, instead of doing that, he actually came to the West. And why? Because he was so faithful to his spiritual master, because he took the instructions of spiritual master so seriously. So this is actually a very perfect example of a disciple who takes the instructions of spiritual master very seriously, you know, of a bona fide spiritual master. And I mean, he came to the West with, I think, like 40 rupees or something. And it has not so much, it's no value in the West, you know, you come with so much less money. And he stayed with, he didn't even have like a fixed place. And he was staying sometimes even like in some hippie's apartment where I think his tape recorder was stolen. Yeah, his tape recorder was stolen. He had to share like the fridge with people like meat eaters. Can you imagine, like, you keep your bhoga and the meat is actually next or like beneath where you have in the fridge. It's just so disgusting. But yeah, but he did it. He could have been in his comfort zone there, but he actually came out. And I mean, at such an advanced age, usually people, if you see materialistic people all their life, they work, and then the few years left they want to enjoy, like, I don't know, with family or just enjoying the pension and relaxing. But Prabhupada did not do that. Prabhupada rather took this mission very seriously, and he came to the West and he actually preached. And because he preached, that's why we all are here today. Can we imagine if Srila Prabhupada wouldn't have come? Don't think so. We would be here today. And so also I just wanted to talk about a little bit, because Prabhupada Marathon starts tomorrow. And I mean, for me, like, Prabhupada Marathon means also going out of my comfort zone and going way beyond the bodily concept of life, Just like Prabhupada also, he went out of the comfort zone and preached Krishna consciousness to all of us. And just wanted to say a few words about this marathon. Like, most of the times we are like, no, I'm not going out because, like, it's so cold and, like, people are going to reject me. Like, oh my gosh, like, I can't do this and things like that, But one of the things Prabhupada also say, actually, for successful Krishna consciousness, we have to have enthusiasm, patience, tolerance. And just actually I think 2 weeks ago or something, I went out on book distribution. And that day for me, it was like, I was like, I just have to do these books today. Like, I was feeling like, yeah, I have to do today. And when I went out, I was so enthusiastic, that, like, super enthusiastic, like, that's it today. And then when I went out, like, I think in 2.5 hours, like, all the books were, like, finished. Almost 3 hours. All the books were, like, completely finished. And there was really something, Sometimes when you do books, there's something in the air. Now, I don't know how to explain this, but there's really something, like, books are just flying. Like, every second person I approached, like, books were just flying that day, And then I was really, like, super enthusiastic that day. And then this lady, she comes to me. She saw me from distance. And she comes to me and she's like, sorry, but what are you doing? Like, you seem super happy. And then I told her, I said, yeah, this is the books and this and that. And even when I was explaining her, I was, like, super, like, in it, And then she's like, I usually don't take these kind of books, but because you are super enthusiastic, you look super enthusiastic, I'm going to take these books. And she literally took the books. And that's when I kind of also realized, like, I was like, yeah, like, you have to be enthusiastic on book distribution. And also, I mean, Prabhupada also, it really pleases Prabhupada when we go out and distribute books, because also Krishna loves when we do austerities for him. And also Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also said that anytime if you ever have money, you print books. So they really emphasized on book distribution. So I just wanted to request everybody, if ever you have time this month, even if you go just once in a week for distributing books, Prabhupada would be actually very pleased. And also in general, if you see in life, we only grow in life when we actually go out of our comfort zone. So I know book distribution is not a thing for many people. It was never for me, actually. But still, I somehow kind of went with the flow in this service, So, yeah, if you ever have time this week, please try to go out. And you don't have to distribute like 100 books in a day or whatever, but just even few books, or even just to go out and trying to, give your time spreading this movement and, trying to give out books. Prabhupada is very pleased, and doesn't matter what the results are, but we should at least try. So yeah, thank you so much. That's all I want to say. If anybody has any question or comment.
Thank you so much for the lecture. I was wondering, how do you build this enthusiasm?
So one thing is practice makes the man perfect. There's a saying, yeah. So initially when I was, firstly, like, it was never my nature like this, to be really like outgoing. And I know many people don't believe this, but it is how it is. I was a person super timid, I would just not be able to have this conversation with people. But over the time, when you just keep doing it, you get higher taste. You know, when you get higher taste, you want to do it more. So it's all about getting the taste. But how do you get the taste? You have to keep doing it. I mean, my godbrother, he lives in Slovenia. He's been doing books there for like few years now. And I remember a few years ago, he was telling me, like, it was marathon time, and he's telling me, like, he's like, I just cannot do more than 40 books a day. Like, like, what is the problem here? Like, I just cannot do more than like 45 books a day. Like, he was really frustrated. And I told him that day, I said, just hold on, just keep doing it. Eventually it will come to you. Like, just be patient, And he was like super like irritated that day. But I knew, but he's super like very dedicated to book distribution. And I really appreciate him for that. And he's very, very disciplined in his spiritual life. And he would go on book distribution like every day, practically. Over the years, I've been seeing him. And sometimes to the point, like, because he's actually personal servant of our spiritual master. And sometimes he was to the point that he would tell me and one more disciple, like, okay, I'm going out on book distribution today. Can you go and serve Gurudev? Like, even his own service, like sometimes he was so enthusiastic on books. So, and few days ago, he actually sent me a message. He said, Nija Seva, I did more than 100 books today. So I was like, wow. And then I realized that there's a verse, in Bhagavatam, that Tattenu Kampam Susamikshumano. This verse actually means that when a devotee, if it's just like I'll just tell the explanation that, like, when a devotee is suffering, for example, and he still keeps going on, and he still keeps serving Krishna, pays obeisances to Krishna, the Lord becomes very merciful to him and eventually shows his mercy, and that devotee is qualified to return back to Godhead, And the example given in this verse is just like, when a father, he has inheritance, like properties and stuff, no? And when a father leaves the body, then it goes to the son, the inheritance, no? Because that's his right. So it's called Dayabhak, So that also, here in this verse, it says it becomes the right of the devotee, It goes back to Godhead and Krishna shows his mercy. So we have to, we become very disappointed when books are not going because we have certain expectation. That's normal, we want to distribute books and it's not going. But at the same time, my understanding and my realization on books is that we have to keep going. And Krishna eventually, when he sees our determination, Krishna will eventually show his mercy. I mean, just also some days ago, I was on Sankirtan, and the first 2 hours, not even one book I could distribute. Like, not even one. I was like, what's going on today, But I was like, that's okay. I said, Krishna, that's okay. It's fine. I will stand here, even if it's like 10 hours, and not even one of the book go, I will still stand here and I will still keep trying, because eventually I knew Krishna will be compassionate on me and he will show me mercy, And I kept on trying, and in the end, I did some books. So eventually some books went, I wanted to do a lot of books that day, but I couldn't do. But something went. So, my realization is that you have to just keep going, be steady, and you will see slowly, Krishna will help you. And you will get higher taste also by distributing books. You feel like a lot of purification, Does that help? Yeah. Go.
When you were talking about the spiritual master and the disciple, you mentioned that there were qualities and characteristics that a disciple should have. So what are those?
The disciple?
Yeah, or the student, what qualities and characteristics should the student
The student should have, one of the qualities is also that he should be submissive enough to actually follow the instructions. Another one is also, whenever he is inquiring from a spiritual master, it should come from a place like, firstly we should be like a fool in front of a spiritual master. Like, I don't know, my Gurudev is going to guide me, like, I don't know, Gurudev, please help me. So that should be the mood, and we should never challenge our spiritual master, We should never have this challenging mood. Now, even though here Sanatana Goswami, he was quite learned, he was like a scholar, but he still went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like a meek and humble servant. So that's also another qualification of a disciple, that he should should be inquisitive, wanting to learn the absolute truth, but from a bona fide spiritual master. And the bona fide spiritual master is the one who is actually also repeating what he heard from his bona fide spiritual master, So whatever Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita is absolute and bona fide. And that should be repeated by the bona fide spiritual master. But if he's not repeating that and he's making his own whimsical commentaries, then that person is not a bona fide spiritual master. That's why the term bona fide is used. Otherwise, there are so many so-called gurus, and they're making their own commentaries about Bhakti Yoga. So, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Say something more on book distribution until this is finished.
Okay. For book distribution, you can also, if you're not able to do yourself, which I don't think so, that one should not be like this, but I think everybody should go out and at least try. And but if you're not able to do, like if you really are just like, oh my gosh, I can't do this kind of thing, then you can just sponsor some books. This way, you can contribute on book distribution. And actually, practically, if you see, in Prabhupada's time, the mood was that all the devotees used to go out, and be on the street for hours. My Gurudev tells me, like, for 40 years, he went on book distribution every single day, like for 40 years, every single day. And he was the temple president, he was the treasurer, he was the temple commander, he was head pujari, like he had so many responsibilities. But still, despite of having all these responsibilities, he still used to go out and distribute books. And for 40 years, he continued. So the point is, like, in Prabhupada's time, the mood was that everybody was out on the street, practically, for hours and hours. Like, they were either doing Harinam, singing and chanting, or either they were distributing books. They had the Radha Damodar party, they've it's like a van, they would travel around, go to every different city and town and distribute books. So, and also Prabhupada, when he would read the scores of his disciples, like of the book distribution increasing, it would give him so much happiness and pleasure. Even if you do book distribution, like you can see, like after some time you feel so much happiness in this service. Even though, physically it can be exhausting also. And also, our minds can be like, oh my gosh, like I can't do this today, it's just too cold, I would rather just be in my blanket, I don't want to go out and this and that. But still, if we go out and we do some austerities, it's going to really please Krishna, and it pleases our acharyas and Srila Prabhupada very much. And book distribution is actually like this. So let's say there is a war going in the country, and these people, like the military, the soldiers, they come forward to help the country, so they are easily recognized by the government, yeah? So book distribution is also like this, that the book distributors are very easily recognized by Lord Krishna, because it's like the war against Maya, And, people may realize or not realize it, but actually people are looking for Krishna. So here, like for example, now in this temple, we don't see people, from outside, like they're coming to hear the lecture, but what we should do, we should rather go out and we should give them the opportunity to, give them Bhagavad Gita. And, for example, I met this girl, Ellie. I met her last year. She's from Spain. And she was sitting at the lake, and I approached her with the books, and she's also doing some yoga, and quite a nice girl, actually. And she took the books, and then we were like on WhatsApp, on contact, but we never just spoke so much, because I was not here, I was traveling also around. And then just last month, I was thinking about her, like I was like, maybe I should contact her, like maybe I should write her. And just 2 days after, I saw her message, like in my phone, like on WhatsApp. She's like, hey, you remember me, we met here, and I want to come to the temple. If you are still around, can I please come, and this and that. And I said, yeah, like, you see, like I was thinking, and just Krishna arranged. And she came, and these days she's a bit busy with work, but you see like how, even if you meet so many hundreds of people, but even that one person comes to the temple, and sitting here chanting, taking prasadam, and associating with devotees, it's still you still feel like you feel so happy that this is becoming successful. It doesn't have to be 100 people coming. I mean, if they come, that's nice. But even if that one person you can preach. So this is also that's how we should go out and preach also. And also, if you go on, if you distribute books, you can see Krishna's reciprocation. All these people who are doing yoga and meditation, out of let's say, you're on the street and you have this, so many people going, but you would be attracted to one person, I'm like this, maybe that person, and then you go. And somehow it turns out that this person is also doing some kind of yoga or meditation, or they are vegan or vegetarian, or, something like this. So Krishna also reciprocates with you in that way. And then they take the books. And then, one day they will come to the temple. And even if they don't come, at least they got the book, and one day they will read. And people are so happy to receive these books. Because if you go to universities and in school, they are not teaching anything about spiritual life, or even about how one can truly attain, control mind and truly understand who they are. There's no spiritual knowledge outside. So it's our duty that we should go out and try to preach Krishna consciousness as much as we can. Thank you. Krishna.
Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Jai. Ki jai.